Hi, my name's Noah Crosby, and I'm a member of the YTV Young Tradition Vermont board. Been on the board for 6 years. I'm also the owner of Randall Music, a music store downtown in Burlington, Vermont on College Street. As I'm a Zen Buddhist priest at the Vermont Zen Center in Shelburne and a chaplain at UVMMC, the University of Vermont Medical Hospital. What's really important to me in what's going on these days, and one of the missions I think that we agree at YTV is both diversity and treating people as people. The thing that's very subtle and underlying in Vermont is racism that's not necessarily overt, and in some ways covert racism is worse. It's more subtle, and it's something that's more difficult to recognize. I grew up in the South, and so I grew up with very overt racism. And when I came to Vermont, it was one of the first things that I recognized, that people didn't recognize racism and its subtleties. But one of the things that we need to do to recognize that and to change it is understand its underlying problems and its history and how it got here and how it started. And it's a very complex problem in this country because racism as it exists today didn't exist in the world in the same way. It existed as more tribalism. It didn't exist in the same way that slavery and racism developed in this country by our forefathers, and it was not subtle, and it was very overt in a way that had never existed in the world before. So it's really incumbent upon us to look at it and look at the history of it and understand, because if we don't understand the history of racism and its underlying problems and where it exists, and then the fact that it exists every place, then we really can't root it out and change it and hopefully eradicate it. Other things that we need to do is we need to understand the political system in this country, and we need to understand the history of oppression, not just of people of color, but of women and of minorities of all sorts, including classism in this country, which is really what racism is a part of. It is a part of the classist, and sometimes lately I've been hearing it referred to as the caste system, because in many ways it is a caste system. It's a caste system based on color, but it's also been a caste system based on if you're not white and male, then you don't have rights. And that was really what this country was founded on in many ways. And we need to understand that, we need to look at it, and we need to talk about it openly. And we need to not hide from it. And that's one of the things that I'm proud to say that we have done here at YTV, and I hope that we'll continue to do, and I hope that we'll look in and teach young people about and make sure that they're not afraid to discuss it and really dive in and find out its subtleties and not so subtle aspects in our society. Thank you.